Hey guys, my name's Yvette and welcome to my DIY channel, and I hope that you guys are having a great day. So I wanted to share two IKEA hacks that I did slash like DIYs, and the first one we're going to start out with is a moon face vase. Okay guys, so for this first IKEA hack, I'm going to be using this IKEA vase and it's only $2.99. I'm also going to be using this all-purpose caulk that I got from Dollar Tree. So I'm going to apply the product all over the vase, and you could skip this step, but I wanted the paint to have something to grab onto instead of doing a bunch of coats of paint. And I also wanted the clay that I'm going to use to have something to grab onto. Now that the vase is fully covered, I'm going to smooth out the product by using a little bit of water, and I'm just going to go all over the vase with it. If you do this, be careful not to use too much water because it could make the product runny and it won't stick. So now that I like how smooth it is, I'm gonna let this dry overnight.
The next day.
Here's our vase dry, and now I'm just gonna sand it. We're gonna move on to making our moon phases, so roll out your clay, and I would recommend using Daz clay because this is not gonna crack once it dries up against the vase. And now I'm going to use a little espresso cup to make our circles. You could use anything you have. Smooth out your circle with a little bit of water, and now we have a full moon. Do the same thing again because we're going to be doing our first quarter moon and our third quarter moon. And then I'm just going to cut these in half using a ruler, and now we have our first quarter moon and our third quarter moon. Roll out some more clay, and now we're going to be doing our waning crescent and waxing crescent moons. So now that we have our moons cut out, we're going to attach them to the vase, and I'm just going to make sure to add some little scratches to the back of the moons to make them easier to attach. And then I'm just going to place them on the vase, and I'm constantly lifting up the vase to make sure that I like where everything is placed. I'm rolling out some more clay because we're going to make handles for the vase, and I'm just rolling out a coil. I made my first handle off camera, and now while I'm making my second one, I'm just going to use my first one as a guide to know how to make my second one. So now that the coils are around the same size, I'm going to place my first handle on top to know where to cut everything out. And now I'm just going to take one of the handles and shape it how I want it to look like on the vase. I'm going to take the second handle and place it on top of the first one to shape it just like that first one. I'm going to let the clay on the vase dry, and then I'm also going to let the handles dry separately for about a day.
10 seconds later.
Now that the handles are dry, I'm going to attach them using some E6000. There is is a little bit of a gap in between the handles and the vase because of the E6000. So I'm going to take some clay and I'm going to place it around the handles to make everything just connect better. And I'm not worried about making this too neat because I'm going to sand it. So now that the clay has fully dried, I'm going to sand this down to make everything smoother. Next we can paint, and I'm painting my vase the color Pueblo by Folk Arts Terracotta line. The last thing we're going to do is seal this, and I'm going to use a matte Mod Podge. So for our next IKEA DIY/hack, we're going to be using IKEA's Sort So rug. It's also super cheap. It's only $3.99, and we're going to be using this to make a wall hanging. So for the wall hanging design, I'm going to be using this line art that I purchased from an Etsy shop. I just loved it, and I'll link the shop I purchased this from if you guys want to use this line art too. The first thing I did was print out the line art, and I made it as big as I wanted it to be on the rug. Then I decided to trim off the little fringe on both ends of the rug. I had no idea how to get the design to be stenciled on the rug, so the best idea I had was to cut out the outline. I'm going to use this 8mm macrame cord to outline our design, but it's kind of thick, so I'm going to unravel this and only use one of the pieces of cord rather than the 3 that are intertwined together. So now using a hot glue gun, I'm just going to glue on the design. Now that the design is fully on, we're going to move on to re-adding fringe to the wall hanging. Measure out a piece of macrame cord to be as wide as your wall hanging because this is what you're going to attach your fringe to. Now I'm measuring out pieces to be a foot long because I want my fringe to be 6 inches long. Next, just fold your pieces in half and then just loop them on. And right now I'm gonna attach it using a hot glue gun. And then I also added a line of tape that you guys can see there as my guide to know where to glue my fringe because these rugs aren't perfectly shaped, and if I would have glued it on top of where the old fringe was, my line would be crooked. Then I decided to comb out the macrame cord. I'm also going to give the cord a little bit of a trim to make things a bit more even. And now I'm taking a dowel and placing it on top, and then I'm just going to hot glue it into place. Also make sure that your wall hanging is flipped around when you do this. Using some jute cord, I'm just going to tie it around the ends so that this will make our wall hanging hang. Last minute, I decided that I wanted to trim a little bit off the ends because there was just a bit too much empty space for my liking. So I took off about an inch from each end, and then we're done. Alright guys, so that's it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe for more DIYs and stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!